so that I can pat myself on the back with my short little arms, but my short little back is just as close. You make predictions, and I will highlight some of my own predictions of the last year that did not come to fruition. You make predictions, and depending on what stage of the story you're at, the prediction might not come true. I did predict that Fani Willis was going to get booted from that case, along with Nathan Wade, by Judge McAfee, who didn't have the judicial cojones to do it. We don't need to go too far into the Fani Willis rehash the saga. It made memes that were meme gold. I'm not going to play the meme gold because when I play it, it gets copy claimed on CommuTube. But the beautiful, beautiful video of Nathan Wade. Have you ever gone to a cabin with Fani Willis? A cabin. And he pauses for, I believe it was a full 24 seconds. And the meme is a bubble comes up and he's like picturing AI images of Fani Willis and like, revealing lingerie. And then the song is playing Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On. I'm going to get copy claimed for that. The memes that came out of that trial. Nathan Wade, her lover extraordinaire, getting pinged from his cell thing, going to shtup Fani Willis from midnight to 4 a.m. Terrence Bradley, a man who was clearly not coerced into testimony or the absence of testimony. And we all watched that saga together. It was amazing. It was revelatory. It highlighted, what do they call her? Cash Money Fanny? There's a guy on the internet, Spez or Fez, who was doing great coverage as well, called her Cash Money Fanny. Fani Willis just keeps, her dad always told her, keep tens of thousands of dollars cash in your house and pay for things like vacations in cash. And we don't need to go through all of the outrageous bullshit of that trial. Judge McAfee, because he was running for re-election at the time, lacked the judicial testicular fortitude that was required to disqualify Fani Willis from that case along with Nathan Wade. But it's an amazing thing. Like you go back and life can only be understood forwards, but life can only be understood backwards, but must be lived forwards. I predicted that she was going to get disqualified. And I was wrong because the judge didn't have the cojones to do it. You go back and you look at the reasoning. Now, some people will say some predictions don't come to fruition and you can't just celebrate the ones where you got them right. True. But the improbability of a prediction has to factor into, what happens if you get it wrong. Not all predictions are 50-50. So when you predict that Joe Biden is going to tank in the debate and going to be replaced by Kamala Harris, and I'm pretty sure I was vocal about that because I did bet on Joe Biden against Joe Biden when he was trading at 87 cents on predicted that he was going to bomb in the debate, as would his predicted chances of becoming president. When something like that happens, that's not a coin flip. And so extra credit is warranted where the prediction was less likely. I am still thus far wrong on my prediction that Joe Biden's going to resign or be resigned from the presidency, but we still have 30 days for that to happen, for Kamala Harris to become the 47th president of these United States of America. But you could be wrong or right on a prediction so long as you're not wrong on the rationale and the underlying logic on which that prediction is based. And you will recall Judge McAfee, he was a good judge. He did a good job during that trial, right up until the time he decided that he no longer had testicles, but he had a mangina and couldn't issue the proper ruling because that mangina interfered with the testicular fortitude that was required to render the legally justified verdict. I feel like I'm going to get in trouble for this, but Brennan has a mangina. Everybody knows that. Now we're going to have to say Scott McAfee has a mangina. In his ruling, and I just went back to my tweet from the time, we're in the ruling of McAfee. He said, simply put, the defendants have not presented sufficient evidence indicating that the expenses were not, quote, roughly divided evenly, or that the district attorney was or currently remains, quote, greatly and pecuniarily interested in this prosecution. Another highlight from that very same judgment. Without sufficient, wait a minute, did I get page 1 before the, oh, no, that's page 7, and now we're at page 9. Without sufficient evidence that the district attorney acquired a personal stake in the prosecution or that her financial arrangement had any impact on the case, the defendant's claims of an actual conflict must be denied. Later on in that paragraph, rather, it is the undersigned's opinion. That's fancy talk for my opinion. It is the undersigned. Why can't you just say it's my opinion? It's my opinion that Georgia law does not permit the finding of an actual conflict for simply making bad choices, even repeatedly, and that the trial court, and it is the trial court's duty to confine itself to the relevant issues and applicable law properly brought before it. All of this was problematic because the judge recognized that even an appearance of conflict was a problem. Set aside the fact that this conclusion, as a matter of observation, was contradicted by his own evidence. With these principles in mind, the court finds at the record that the evidentiary hearing established that the district attorney's prosecution is encumbered by an appearance of impropriety. This appearance is not created by mere status alone, but comes because specific conduct and impacts more than a mere, quote, nebulous, end quote, public interest because it concerns a public prosecutor. This is in the guy's same decision. There's not an actual conflict of interest, only an appearance of one, but there's an appearance of impropriety, not just conflict. And it results from a more than a mere superficial. This is in McAfee's own decision where he exonerates or does not disqualify Fani Willis, but thinks that he's resolved the conflict by disqualifying Nathan Wade or suggesting that he can be disqualified. While the testimony of Robin Yurdy raised doubts about the state's assertions and ultimately lacked context and detail, at McAfee. Even after considering the proffered cell phone testimony from defendant Trump, along with the entirety of the other evidence, neither side was able to conclusively establish by a preponderance of the evidence that the relationship evolved into a romantic. When the relationship evolved into a romantic one. Yeah, of course not, because Yurdy wasn't clear enough when she said that it predated certain events and that Fani Willis and Nathan Wade lied about when their professional relationship became professional booty calls at midnight. All right, and then I just, highlighted the absurdities of the judgment itself, which did not allow my prediction at the time to come to fruition, but over time, everything bends towards the truth, people. No evidence of any reimbursement, but Willis's testimony was not inherently unbelievable. No conflict, even when Willis repeatedly made bad choices and despite an appearance of conflict of interest. Terrence's testimony disregarded. Yurdy's testimony lacked context and detail. Horse crap. Oh yeah, and Fani Willis's church speech was legally improper. That's what McAfee wrote in that decision. But she doesn't get booted from the file. In attempting to split baby justice, I'm not attempting to split it. In attempting to split baby justice, the judge has killed it. Yep. And the Georgia Court of Appeal has sewed that baby back together, people, and they have ruled that she's disqualified. The judgment is not particularly interesting. You can read through it. It's actually 18 pages of the majority. There's one dissenting opinion, which I haven't really read thoroughly, and I don't really care to. Not because it doesn't confirm what I already believe and predict, just because I'm not interested in seeing idiotic stupidity carried out at the higher level. This is from the ruling today. After carefully considering the trial court's finding, in its order, we conclude that it erred by failing to disqualify District Attorney Willis and her office. The remedy, by the way, just, get the prediction wrong at a certain point in time. Losers now will later win. The losers now shall later win because the times they are changing, people, and we actually are living maybe through a time now of some form of judicial justice, political justice, actual justice. The remedy crafted by the trial court to prevent an ongoing appearance of impropriety did nothing to address the appearance of impropriety that existed at times when District Attorney Willis was exercising her broad pretrial discretion about who to prosecute and what charges to bring. While we recognize that an appearance of impropriety generally is not enough to support disqualification, this is the rare case in which disqualification is mandated and no other remedy will suffice to restore public confidence in the integrity of these proceedings. I should have highlighted that part. Maybe by not highlighting it, I've highlighted it even more. Understand what they're saying there, people. I want to read it one more time. It's the rare case where there is no other remedy to restore public confidence in the integrity of these proceedings. Do you know what that means? Let me translate that for you. They are embarrassed at what the world saw in those broadcasted hearings. They are embarrassed. The higher ups, judges are embarrassed. The entire judicial system is out of order, and now they have to restore some of the faith that people have in the system because they've seen how people have lost the faith because the people have seen what goes on in these judicially corrupt, urine-soaked hellholes, pee-pee-soaked heckholes, people. That's that. Hold on, that's not that. I'm not yet done patting myself on the back. I said full vindication. Where was the other one? Yeah, this was Phil Holloway, by the way, is going live this afternoon. I might pop in, but even if I don't, go check him out, 3 o'clock. Georgia Court of Appeals has disqualified Fani Willis, obviously. Where was the tweet that I said initially at the time? Full friggin' vindication. Why? Because back in the day when the Georgia Court of Appeal took the appeal, remember this? You got the little Court of Appeals. They say they're gonna take the appeal and hear it. Georgia Court of Appeal will hear the appeal on the refusal to disqualify Fani Willis. Am I wrong in thinking that they would not take the appeal unless it was to reverse McAfee and disqualify? Why else take the case and delay the prosecution if only to affirm? Also, when the Court of Appeal disqualifies, I claim, in caps, biatches, full vindication for my initial prediction. Booyah. Well, that's where we are today, peeps.